Are you an immigrant looking for a better recipe for living your ultimate American dream journey? Did you come to America to escape persecution, or as a tourist, a student, for employment, and found America a welcoming place? Or did you make a conscious decision to relocate for a new experience and opportunities? Whatever the case, you have a story. Are you ready to tell yours and have it recorded in the pages of history for your posterity and the world? Was your decision to live in America the best decision you've ever made? These stories and more on this podcast dedicated to you, the modern explorers to America. We feature amazing Nadvigators weekly to share their story, their journey, their challenges and successes, with one goal of helping you to fast track and live your best American dream journey. So what's your navigating story? And now, here is your host, Bassie Simon, with this episode's featured guest, ready to tell their navigating story.
Hello, Nadvigators. Welcome to the Nadvigators podcast. The Nadvigators podcast is the first podcasting platform dedicated to bringing you inspiring navigating stories of immigrants, the modern American explorers, to share their stories of their American journey and experiences to inspire you to find your own path to success and to live your ultimate American dream. In this episode, I am thrilled to bring you the concluding part of our interview with our special guest this week, Dr. William Undie. For the benefit of those who just joining in, you are going to be listening to the concluding part of the amazing navigating stories of our special guest this week. Dr. Undie is a professor of radio oncology physics at a prestigious cancer research university in Texas. After completing high school in Nigeria, he came to the United States for his bachelor's degree with a full ride scholarship to study industrial economics, a course that he quickly realized that it may not do much for him. So he switches gears and graduated with criminal justice with intent to pursue legal education. However, time and circumstances saw him went through other interests, including earning an MBA and a doctorate in educational leadership, before making an about face to pursue a medical degree and specialization in radio oncology physics. A change that he credits to his ability to move with the times rather than living in the past. Dr. Undie admits he didn't realize there were so many black people in America until he found himself at a Greyhound bus stop in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Just as his classmates were surprised to learn from him that there were skyscrapers in Africa. Dr. Undie's experiences have made him a powerful example of how to accomplish one's life goals despite initial setbacks. He advises navigators not to lose sight of the fact that you can make a change at any point in your life. He also talked about the fact that already earned degrees and titles should not be a hindrance to making a career change at any point. The current environment should truly be the determining factor of what and where your career direction should go. It is possible to make a change to your career path at any age. In this episode, Dr. Undie provides some timely wisdom to help those who may be stuck in the single story syndrome, or for those who are just starting out or who may be struggling to find or redefine their own path to success in order to live their ultimate American dream. If you did not have a chance to listen to the first part of Dr. Undie's story, please do so. That story is in episode number 11. Now, let's get into the rest of the story. Hello, Nadvigators. We've been talking to Dr. William Undie for the last 40 minutes, and we've received a lot of timely advice from him, and we are all grateful that he's taken his time to be on this program to help benefit all the navigators that are here, or they just arrived, or they are still trying to find their way around this great nation that we now call home. So if you've not been listening to the first part of this interview, please go and listen to it. You will find great wisdom on there. Now we are going to turn our attention to some of the few things that I call transitional aspects of your journey. So, Dr. William, you know that building a new life in a new country is hard, especially when you arrive here as an adult. And that means there are some things that you actually came with you. Your life was already built up. You have some cultural things that you picked up from home, from your home country. And you also had some that your life was already made up, okay, as an adult when you arrived here. So what are some of those things that over the years you have kept some of those part of that culture, because each of us have that culture that we grew up in and we've built up and it's kind of ingrained in our minds. So what are some of those cultural things that you learn and as a child that you're still keeping, that you think that are good things for you to hold on to?
Okay, Basi, I think two things that really helped me to be who I am right now. One is the core values that I actually had. My parents, they didn't really have much, but they were very committed that we at least have some kind of an education. So they put all the resources that they have to ensure that at least we had that education. Okay, so very strong core values. Even up till now, even though both of my parents have passed, but the values that they actually provided to us still provide a framework that I work on. I think the same values that I've shared with my kids over here. Okay, hard work, perseverance. I keep saying that over and over again because those are the fundamental values. Once you have those, you cannot deviate from that. My dad was a man of integrity, well respected in a community. He didn't have much, but he was well respected. Even up to my level of success where I am right now, even though I have, at least I'm fortunate to have some comfort of life right now, but I still defer to those very primordial values that actually share with us. So to me, you don't want to at least try and deviate from that. And secondly, I keep going back into education. Okay, I realize that if you don't have a godfather, just like most of us don't have, but if you're able to work very hard educationally, you can always find a place that you can actually build on. Okay, those two things to me are what really drive me or makes me who I am today. And again, I provide the same thing also to my kids going forward.
Good. Thank you. So we realize that because we came from, all of the Nadvigators came from certain cultures and certain way of doing things. And I'm sure in your journey, there are some things that you have had to unlearn from your culture in order to be successful here.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you had to unlearn in order for you to be successful in this, your new country?
Well, I can tell you that very easily. Because even up till now, when I sit on the board, with other, administrators, in my organization, I try to listen more than say something. Sometimes they wonder, well, why is this guy not saying much? But to me, you can make a whole lot of a difference by listening. Then at the end, say what you think is important. Again, you and I from a culture whereby you are asked to respect elders, right? And which means sometimes you don't look someone straight in the eye.
Right.
But you realize, say, listen, in this society, when you don't look someone straight in the eye, they feel maybe you're hiding something. So now I have unlearned by trying to avoid someone looking at the eye by looking someone straight in the eye.
I bet that was hard when you started.
It was hard, really. Even up till now, when I was teaching, even though I don't do that on a regular basis, but some of my students who were from the Asian countries, Korea, Chinese, and Vietnam, they don't look you straight in the eye. The same kind of cultural values there.
Mm-hmm.
So again, when you get into this society whereby to be able to assimilate or to adjust very well, or to demonstrate some level of confidence, even though you're very confident,
right?
Optics, do matter a whole lot over here, right? So you have to unlearn some of those cultural values so you can be able to at least fit in the society.
Wow, that's a timely thing right there. I know that. For whatever reason, most Nadvigators that came from the other part of the world, exception is probably Europe, people that came from Europe, because they seems to have the same kind of standards around here. But I think in our individual cultures where we came from, that is a serious problem. And it could be misinterpreted as you're trying to be mischievous. Because you're not looking at somebody in the eye, you're not looking straight in their faces, and that is hard to unlearn sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I want to say out there that, as a matter of fact, one of the things that it's for some people, it's maybe not for some others, but one of the other things that another guest mentioned was more of course, in our culture too, you don't address people by their first name.
Correct.
And that is one of those things that, I too had to unlearn to personally, because it's even up till now, it's still, I still find myself, as long as I've lived here, I still find myself not able to do that. And and I know that people love to be addressed by their first name, and so that's something I personally had to unlearn.
Yeah.
So I think it's just different variations. It's not that it's bad, but it's just that when you're in a certain society, certain culture, and you want to assimilate, which you rightly say, you have to learn to live like the people that live there, and you'll be well accepted. That's a great tip.
Absolutely.
So let's ask more questions about this idea of decision that you had to come, right? Because do you consider this migrating back here? You went back before, but you came back. You saw the opportunities. I probably don't need to ask this, but do you believe that this decision to migrate, come back here in America was your best decision that you've ever made in your life? And if so, why is that? What are some of the opportunities that you have here that you wouldn't have if you were back in your country, despite your level of education?
Well, right after again, I think sometimes when you have a taste of something, it's hard to go back.
Yeah.
So when I came over here, I had a taste of the educational system over here. Then I compared that with what I had before coming over here.
Right.
I know there were very many resources over here that can help me advance myself educationally or even in terms of careers. So I knew if I stayed back after my undergraduate degree, I wouldn't really have had the opportunity to avail the educational resources that are over here.
Right.
So that's why when I came over here, because I knew that I was going to go on to a doctorate degree, and the best place to do it where at least you have the research facilities, we're here in the U.S.
Right.
So no, I don't regret at all coming back. It was a little bit difficult trying to get readjusted, but I think the most important thing is surviving that experience and making the best out of the situation. In life, you have to go through some struggles to get better. That's the way I see it.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. Now, I want to, we've been talking about this concept of transitioning and borrowing things from one culture to another. Now, part of assimilating in the society is to imbibe their culture. We already talked about some of them when we try to unlearn things so that we can be part of it. Now, share with the nation, with the Nadvigator Nation, are there some things that is part of American society that, or American culture that you would not want to, you have refused to be a part of it? What are those things? You don't want to be part of that culture. What sort of cultural things that happen in the United States or in America generally that you said, well, I don't want to take that one. I'll stay away from that one. What are some of those?
Well, Basi, I have very conservative values. I'm not the type that you will maybe find going to nightclubs, every weekend, or, going to parties. And I think I'm a little bit conservative, on those terms anyway. So I'm a little bit picky on how, I form partnerships, with friends and all of that. And I think I always like to make sure at least the values that anyone has resonates with what I have to be able to have, a viable type, of relationship. So I'm a little bit critical in those terms. Now, secondly, I am still a Nigerian. I'm a Nigerian American. I'm naturalized, so I'm a Nigerian American. But I still feel that the values that I have form who I am. It's not something that you can try and relinquish. Yeah. Even after all these years, I still speak with an accent, which is okay. But I cannot try to pretend that, well, I don't have an accent or to speak like a true American, which, I know I could not be. But I try to articulate or use mechanisms or tools that can help someone understand me when I speak. So to the Americans, when I speak a little bit more slowly so they can understand me. I tend to enunciate every word that I speak. And I try to allow people some time to process what I'm saying and also look at the visuals. Okay, I can look at the body language, whether you're understanding me or not. But one thing I've often observed is this. Because of my level of educational achievement, because of my level of career achievement, people will always, they don't have any choice but to want to make they will have to find a way to understand what you're saying because they're actually at the receiving end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't change who I am. I'm still who I am. Even 40 years ago, I'm still the same person I am in terms of having a sense of purpose, having integrity, and being real. I think that's what people say.
Very good. Well, thanks again for that additional insight. Let's turn into something else that is of interest of the Nadvigators. So we all come here. Most of us have children here, and most of our children were born here. We raise them here. Now, how do you put these two cultures together? Because you're still who you are from your culture. You have these cultural perceptions of how things should be, integrity and all of those things, and then the American way of life. Now, how do you raise your children so that they can sort of another guest used this term, which I'm going to borrow from it, says create your own culture. So how do you create your own culture? So you took the best value of the American system and take the best value of your country's system, in this case, Nigeria. How do you create your own culture? What are some of the things that you have to use or brought up and talk to your children so that they can basically, hopefully, be as successful as you are or more?
I train my kids, myself and my wife. I keep saying we. Myself
exactly.
We train our kids to be honest, to be respectful, and to work hard, and to take effort and do the right thing. Okay? Now, those are the values that you teach kids in your house.
Correct.
When they go to school, when they socialize with other kids, or what they may be taught out there, may be a little bit different. But keep in mind that the kids spend most of the time with you. Sure. So more often than not, they're going to subscribe or defer to your own value system.
Right.
Okay? So, but sometimes you put a burden on these kids whereby, just as you and I growing up, you want to be accepted by your peers, right?
Correct.
Especially in those young years, teenage years, or wherever. You want to belong. So you have your kids right now, and they're actually at school. If you don't have a common thing that will bond those two group of people, the kids are caught in a situation whereby they perpetually struggle with those values. Should they holistically subscribe to what your value system, or should they at least try to integrate with what is going on, in the social area? Maybe that's why the speaker that you actually mentioned that you have to create your own values. Well, you can have a blend of those. That way, at least they can bridge both systems. I think that's what we have done, because you do that for the benefit of the child. Because the child will still grow up, they will have to have their own family, and they are not going to go back to Nigeria.
No.
So they have to be able to blend both and have an identity that will actually make them very comfortable of who they are. But it doesn't mean that they have to abandon the value system that they actually grew up with, because I still feel right now that the value system that we have is very, very strong. If you subscribe to that, you always make it in life.
Wow. That's also a theme that has run through this program, Rick. Mm-hmm. I've interviewed people from South America, and I've interviewed people from another guest from Nigeria, and I've interviewed somebody from Canada, and it's a theme that is running through here, that you don't have to abandon your culture just because you're here, because it helps to create a sense of identity for the children. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, it's actually a unique opportunity because they get to identify with somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And I think some of the things that people say is that we have to find a way of being positive about our country wherever we came from, because there's still positive things that comes out of there. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily that the economic aspect might be bad, but there's a whole lot of things that is good that comes out of there. So you just touch on another theme that has been running for the entire time that we've been interviewing several guests on this program. So that is really, really good. Thank you so much for saying that. Now, I'm going to turn your time now to tell you about, if you are the president of Nigeria for a moment, okay? What are some of the things, maybe two things, that you would take back, because you know that not everybody can come from Nigeria over here. In your case, you came from Nigeria. What are some two things that you could take and implement over there that would help people live a more fulfilling life?
Create a viable opportunity system for the youths. Take a case in Germany. In Germany, I think everyone goes through grade school, everyone goes through middle school and all of that. But once you reach in secondary school, there are two pathways. You either go through into a vocation, or you go to a collegiate type of curriculum. Right. That way, either way, both sides have a chance to be successful. Not everybody is called to be a scholar.
Right.
But I mean, some people have skills to be technically inclined.
Right.
Okay? So if you create viable academic system for both, type of, individuals, you will actually make that country a very vibrant place whereby kids can now get out, get the skills they can actually use, then create the economic system whereby they can utilize all of those very skills. It doesn't take much. It takes a vision.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing advice right now. But I'm going to ask you, we have two quick last questions here that you are going to respond to briefly. Mm-hmm. And so let me put this question this way, okay?
Yeah.
Imagine, I know you've given us a whole lot of advice, but so let's imagine you are standing in front of a room full of new immigrants, okay? People just like you who migrated here for opportunities. And you know that they have fears, they have struggles, and you've been through what most of them are about to face, right? And these are folks that are battling with worries, doubts, and struggles to find their own American identity and dream. So what are two things that you can recommend that they do in order to succeed here?
Okay. If you came from a rich family back in Africa, I said go back, okay, and enjoy yourself. But many that immigrate here are not from rich family.
Sure.
So if you're here, then you only have a one-way ticket, I should say, right? In terms, of success.
Right.
Obstacles. Okay. No matter where you go, you will always face obstacles, but be prepared to face those obstacles. At the same time, maintain your integrity. Don't get engaged in quick schemes trying to get rich. There's no shortcut to getting rich in this very place. You have to get an education. Yes, you may not have a very strong educational background from where you came from, but don't feel shy about putting aside whatever degrees you get from home, start from scratch. America is a place that provides you an opportunity to start from scratch. And as you actually started from scratch, you will start to identify which opportunities are out there that you can actually, try and pursue. But be willing to work hard. It doesn't matter which kind of job you have, but get a job to try and, and accomplish your goal. But again, don't get into shitty things, trying to get rich or whatever it is.
Okay. Very timely. What is one thing that they should, you've already answered that question, but what is one thing that they should absolutely avoid?
Hanging around with people that are not motivated.
Okay. So
be serious with your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So hang out with people who can motivate you to be your best.
Exactly.
Now, can you share with us as we come to the very final question here? Share with us one book or resource or a quote that you have that have actually been a help to you over the years, or you go back and you look through it, or you read that book and you're like, wow, we want to have this sort of information added to our resources section, and people could go and read it and find something about it, or you have a favorite quote that is you like. This is the time to share it. And after that, I will give you one chance to give a rounding comments and end of the show comment. This is your time to basically talk about the kind of project you involve in, community or whatever you're doing, and if you offer things like let people know if you want to help them and how they can get integrated, or whatever advice you want to give at this point, this is your time to do that after you give us that resource information.
There's a book by Melvin Ward. He said, keep moving, never look back.
Now, what did you say, Melvin Ward?
Yeah, W-A-R-O-D. I read that book about 20 years ago. Yeah, I think I reflect on that very book, and I think that's what has actually inspired me. You use the past as a guide to go forward, but not as a crutch just to fall behind.
Wow, I love that quote. I love that quote.
Yes.
So now you tell us one.
Don't use your circumstances.
Yeah.
As a way to hold you back. There's always opportunity going forward.
Certainly. And how would if somebody want to reach out to you, and you have a way for them to do that, or you have advice for counseling or for whatever, maybe they're interested in going to oncology, physics, and your area of specialization, and if you have a way that they can do that, and you offer anything that how they could get started, or you have a material that you can share, we can put it on the resources section, and then people have a chance to read through what that line of profession is, and maybe make a decision to follow that.
I'll be glad to. You have my email address,
Sure.
My Gmail address. Again, I try to keep this out of my work, but at least you can always reach me through my Gmail address. And also, again, the work emails are always blocked anyhow from,
right.
sources. But my Gmail address is always there.
Wow. Dr. William Undie, we've had a wonderful time talking about your navigating journey. It's been very insightful. You've been gracious with your time. Thank you very much for coming on the program today and giving us your knowledge and helping us, helping the Navigator Nation to know that journey to success, and however that success is defined, is not a one-day activity. And you have told us that sometimes there are ups and downs. But I love your quote that you said you should use the past as a guide to the future and not to be stuck in that particular past, because there's always new opportunities awaiting in the future. That was a piece of timely information. And we're going to put all your resources that you've given us in the resources section. Again, I want to thank you very much for coming on the program, and we hope that this would be very helpful for the audience. And we look forward to connecting with you again in another episode. I'm sure we'll bring you back here to talk about as an expert in your area, to give guidance on how people might get into your area. And for now, Nadvigator Nation, we have been talking with Dr. William Undie. And as you can see, we've always said that all of Nadvigator stories are very uniquely different. And today's episode wasn't different. We've heard all kind of information from our guests today. And tune in for next episode, and make sure to subscribe, like, and share the Nadvigators podcast to your friends. And if you like this episode, make sure you subscribe, like, and share it. And we are on different platforms. We are on Stitcher, we are on iTunes, we are on Spotify, we are on almost all the platforms that you use in listening to your podcast. So be sure to subscribe, like, and share. Until the next time that we bring another navigating story, it is bye for now. I am your host, Bassi Simon. Remember that none of us is smarter than all of us, and always be good to everyone you meet on your way up. Thank you. Have a blessed day. Until next episode.
Thank you, Bassi. Thank you for the opportunity.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Nadvigators podcast, Navigating the American Dream with Bassi Simon. For more information about our stories, our guests, or how to get involved and share your navigating story, head over to our website at nadcast.com. That's NADCAST.com for more information. Continue the conversation on Facebook.com/Nadvigators. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or on your favorite podcast listening platform so others can find us and enjoy the show too.